Want to make a podcast? Spotify's got a platform that lets you make one super easily, then distribute it everywhere and even earn money. We like that. All in one place for totally free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters, and here's how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your cellular telephone or your computer, so no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else, those other places that podcasts are heard.
Video podcasts are also available on Spotify, and when you want to take conversations with your fans to the next level, Q&As and polls are the best way to get them talking. With Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. And best of all, it's totally free, zero catch. We've been using it ever since we started How Long Gone. And ever since I discovered Spotify for Podcasters, I feel like having the option of turning off the Q&As and the polls on the user dashboard has really helped boost my creativity and take it to another level. I highly recommend giving it a try. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started.
What's up, bitch?
Hi, Chris. How are you?
What's really good, baby? It's Chris Black. We're coming to you live from beautiful Asheville, North Carolina. We've been on the road all morning. We left Nashville at approximately 8:45 a.m. Made it here in pretty good time. TJ was at the wheel.
Oh, man, yeah. I mean, literally today I woke up, didn't even have time to take a shower. I woke up, did laundry.
What did I do this morning when I
went to
up,
Barry's at 6 a.m.?
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I had a 6 a.m. workout, before we hit the road, just because I knew I wouldn't have time later in the day. That's just more of something I want to tell you guys, no days off. It's a lifestyle, and I think you should kick off 2021 in that way.
Yeah, I mean, this vacation has been at least 3 times as much work as I would normally do if I were just at home. I will say that. I wake up, drink coffee, pack a bunch of clothes, get in a car, and then just spend all day in a car, get to a hotel, take a shower, rush up to your room, and now we're recording. So, literally, I've done nothing, not a single thing today, except for this. And what time is it now? It's 3 o'clock.
This is your job.
Going to record this, going to have your Chris Black 5:15 dinner, and then go to bed at 7 o'clock.
Sounds pretty good to me. Well, last night we had a very...
What is the point of life?
We had a very special meal last night, though.
We did have a very special meal. Shout outs to Rolf and Daughters, RID. We had the make your own Rolf at home kit. A damn feast.
A damn feast. We did it all. That's my favorite restaurant in Nashville. So shout out to, and we also played tennis with him earlier. We also met an infectious disease doctor on the tennis court.
Infectious disease doctor.
And it was. First of all, this guy was fucking hot. He could play tennis, and he was a fucking infectious disease doctor during COVID.
You think he's listening to this right now, Chris?
I hope so. Shout out to Big Steve. I love the forehand. I love the movement on the court.
Big Steve, when next time I'm down in Nashville, I'll let you win.
Nice of you, Jason. You're a charity
guy.
Big
Steve had a rockin' little body on him too.
He did have a rockin' little body on him. I don't know how he finds the time. 3 kids, saving lives. We can barely get up and get on the road.
He's a grown-ass man. He got kids. He got a wife. He's a literal doctor in the ER type beat. And the man is a tennis pro.
Yeah, he'd be really
on fleek.
Smacking the ball.
8-pack, 6-pack, cum gutties, the whole nine. And on top of all of it, very nice. It was like, people like that don't exist where we're from, Chris.
They don't.
You have to come down to the more rural areas to see that, like Louisville, Nashville, Knoxville, other places like that.
Jason's having a tough time with his accent. He really can. He's got Australian on fleeky. He's got British pretty good, but the Southern needs some work.
I don't really think it's that bad, Chris.
It's not great.
I mean, the problem with your Southern accent is it's so real that it's just not even noticeable. It's like when you take. You know when you are in severe pain.
Watch it.
And you take a Vicodin, and
First of all, could we choose a different example?
This example is going to happen. We're already there. When you take a Xanax or you have some back pain, you have some neck pain, whatever. You take and you actually are in pain, and you get prescribed a Vicodin or something like that for your pain. You take one, and you're like, okay, I feel better. The pain went away, but you don't feel like you don't take off and go to Mars if when you're using
Never done that, but yeah.
when you're using these things non-recreationally. But same kind of vibe. I already forgot what I was talking about originally. What the analogy was for.
It's okay. No one cared. But Jason, I think Jason's had a good time so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's been good. I mean, the whole point of going on vacation for me is to be grateful for what I have at home.
So what do you got? A suburban house, a Tesla, and a dog?
I
guess that's better than what I
have
got.
my life set up in a way that I prefer the most.
Sure.
I'm around people that I want to look at. I have a house full of all the stuff that I like to do. Your TV has all of your things on it.
Your settings are set.
All my settings are set. All my
But they ain't got Bojangles there, so what are you supposed to do? We checked out the famous marble Art Deco bathroom at the Hermitage Hotel yesterday.
Hermitage.
But yeah, I'm feeling a little scattered myself, TJ. This has been it's a whirlwind, but I can't wait to cruise into beautiful Charleston, South Carolina tomorrow afternoon.
So at what point on this holiday vacation will we be relaxing?
I don't relax. I don't know if you know that about me. I really don't relax that much.
I know you don't relax, and it's an adjustment for me, I will say, because I like to relax.
I know but that's what I'm doing. I'm greasing up your cylinders, and you're firing a little faster, and it's good to see.
Yeah, that's true. It is happening. But
no, I mean,
but at what point will it be Linkin Park voice? I'm about to break.
I don't think
because if you run that engine and you never take it into the pit for a service. You're gonna get a blowout.
Oh, I get serviced.
Gonna get a blowout on turn 3.
I think that's what exercise does for me. I get to let loose.
So the time where you relax and unwind is when you're asleep.
I guess. I mean, I haven't been sleeping very well either, which is rare for me. I guess.
Why do you think you haven't been sleeping?
Well, I think there was some lights directed at the window of the Sonder in Nashville, but also I don't know. The
apartment we were staying at was one floor above a bridal shop, and the signage on the front, like the balcony of our house, was just a sign that says like "broke hoe bridal," dumbass bitch bridal shop. And then there's 2 floodlights just pointing
at
right
the window
into
of the master
window.
suite, which I'm sure I'm not the first person to have an issue with that. Like that seems like something they should have corrected.
Damn, hit the comments below.
Hit the comments below. But I'm happy to be here. It's beautiful in Asheville, North Carolina today. It is stunning.
Yeah, so Asheville, North Carolina, my first time. I feel like I'm just in some idyllic town square. There's a miniature Washington Monument. It's actually warm enough to, you don't have to wear a full parka kit. It ain't 20 degrees. I mean, what is it, like 50 something?
It's like mid 50s.
Pretty nice. I mean, yeah, this is like what the temperature in LA is now.
I know, because it's winter in LA.
But let me tell you, the biscuit at Bojangles was really something.
Was it?
Yeah, it was a good biscuit. Tendies was
Nothing is more humbling than watching Jason eat Bojangles in a parking lot while I sit there waiting on him, because I'm obviously not going to eat that filth.
Yeah, and I've got the natty poured into my Bojangles unsweetened tea.
Oh, do you?
I'm doing a mix. Don't worry. This is Southern living. If I'm supposed to be
I'm trying some local bottled water. Cumberland Gap Mountain Spring. This is all they had at the gas station.
Sounds like a skate spot, bro.
It does sound like a skate spot, but we do have a guest today, TJ.
Yeah, the parade of non-alcoholic mixology narrative on this show.
This is our beat, I think. Now
this is our beat. What do? We talk to different people who we've never met, who won't like us, who don't like us, about the thing that they have made a good living.
What is this?
On.
So what's your podcast about? We basically get people who don't like us to talk to us. That's kind of the whole thing.
We just hope that they're bored and we catch them at a moment where a moment of weakness where they say yes.
Well, Jason, as we close in on 1 million listens, they know that we got the reach. That's why they ain't doing this because they like us. They're doing this because they like themselves.
Every time we flambe someone, we got a DM from them saying, "Fam, my menchies are decimated. My phone is blowing up. I had no idea you guys had such a pod reach."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, bro, we've been doing this pod for what, 8 months now, 8-9 months.
Yeah,
we're about to hit 1 million plays. That's pretty damn good.
A milli.
I think that's very good.
I don't know much about that stuff, but I just wake up and I just do my shit, bro. I hop out the bed, I turn my swag on, I plug my mic in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes I look at the stats on the pod and I say, this doesn't seem right. But then when the clock strikes a milli after 9 months, the numbers check out.
The numbers check out. Every day is the flu game for how long gone. You know what I'm saying?
Your other little podcasts couldn't.
They definitely could not. And if they do,
they're
going to
get like a streetwear guy with goddamn 1,700 followers who is like, yeah, I came up with a new swimming trunks company. I have new board shorts swag. You could wear these board shorts with loafers. Fuck. And then I'm going to talk to you for 3 hours about Little Uzi's braces. What do you think those smell like?
What do you think those smell like?
Anyway, we got a guest today.
We got a guest today. Julia Bainbridge is her name. She has a book out now about non-alcoholic cocktails. It's called Good Drinks. She also had a very popular podcast called The Lonely Hour that I believe she stopped doing. But she's contributed
our numbers, and she said, what's the bloody point, bro?
She was the food editor at Atlanta Magazine for a couple years. She contributes to Playboy, Bon Appetit, and Food 52.
Shout out to Food 52. Thanks for sending me the pack I regifted to my mom. Hope my mom's not listening right now.
Actually, I thought that was for me, too. Did you regift that one, too?
What are you going to use the paring knife for, Chris?
Oh, I don't know what they sell there.
Oh, well, I got the cutting board. I got the bread knife. I got the chef knife. I got the paring knife. I got the biodegradable kitchen wipe sponges. It's actually very lit.
Wow, that's nice.
It was like a regift that was better than whatever I was going to get. Yeah.
We know that. We've seen how cheap you are.
Yeah, I'm like, Mom, this is over a $300 value.
Is that like your price is right?
Yeah.
Jason, I'm not going to
your
bid on my Christmas
other son
present.
could never.
Oh, I'm going to bid a penny on this. I'm bidding a penny. Okay, well let's give Julia a call.
Mm-hmm.
Keep sipping the Bojang Jang, and I'm gonna find out what non-alcoholic cocktails I should be enjoying.
Okay. What's up? Welcome to
Hi.
How Long Gone. How are you?
I'm good. How are you all?
We're frazzled. We're rode hard and hung up wet from America's heartland. We're driving through the South right now.
Yeah, what's this about?
This is about showing Jason my homeland.
I wish I knew what this was about, actually.
Have you spent a lot of time in the South, or have you explored?
I've explored a little bit. I lived in Atlanta, which is, I think, what you're talking about, meaning where you're from, right? Aren't you from Atlanta?
I am from Atlanta, yes.
And I in part know that because you told me, but also I was just listening back to both of your tasting of Gia on the most recent episode, and there was an Arden's Garden reference.
Yes.
Have you heard of Gia? It's a non-alcoholic beverage.
It's very popular, it seems. But yeah, Arden's Garden's the triple OG. Did you go there?
I sure did.
I love that. I love to hear supporting local businesses. But
That's where we got smoothies at, right?
Yeah.
Pretty good smoothie.
Yeah.
Yes, but I lived in Atlanta for just about 2 years, and while I was there, I explored the South a little bit, and I have half of my family is from Virginia, but that's not really South.
I've always wondered about that battle. Where do you stand on that?
You talking about the Civil War, Chris?
No.
Yeah, which battle?
I'm talking about is Virginia the South or is it the cutoff?
No, but I grew up in Baltimore, Maryland, and people made that argument about Baltimore as well. Because technically I grew up below the Mason-Dixon line, but ever so technically, like absolutely I did not grow up with Southern culture. So, yeah, I would say Virginia is absolutely in the South. Is it in the deep South? No.
I agree. I think Virginia's in the South because I know that when I'm there, it damn sure don't look like the North.
Yeah, and my grandparents, it's my mother's side of the family who's from there, had accents, and parts of their culture were certainly closer to, there were lots of Southernisms.
Is your family racist too?
I see where you're going with this, and
cool.
It's thinly veiled.
No, I feel very mid-Atlantic, both in terms of like my upbringing and in my breeding, if you will, because my mom's side of the family is my mom's side of the family is from Virginia, my dad's side of the family is from New York. And I grew up like right smack in the middle of the East Coast, so I'm a mid-Atlantic.
What was your favorite Southern city?
I don't know. They're all lovable for different reasons. Of course, New Orleans is magical and unlike anywhere else. So
damn, that's my least favorite.
I don't know if I could live in New Orleans, but I think it's got a certain kind of magic that's hard to not be intoxicated by. Why did you not like it?
It's a little it looks cool. I like how it looks. If Europe and Florida had a baby.
But if you met Chris, New Orleans is about as least up his alley.
It's just too indulgent for me. That's not the way I live my life.
Yeah, but can't you appreciate it for a sec?
No.
Yeah, it was fine, and the hotel was nice. Like I totally see the appeal, but I don't need to go back.
Right on.
It's not a sober person's playground, I'll say.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, it is. I've never seen anything that looks like it in America. I will give you that.
Nice transition there into the topic at hand.
Well, you also said it's an intoxicating city. And then, yeah, I mean, I was going to say New Orleans, that's a boozy zone. Is it possible to have fun there without getting absolutely twisted off the slurricanes?
Yeah.
How many beignets am I going to have to eat to have a good time?
I don't know. I mean, I'm more interested in Chris's story. I don't know. So you're sober?
Yeah, I've been sober for 4 years. I was addicted to OxyContin, OD'd a couple times, and here we are.
Oh, right on.
He also liked other drugs too.
I liked all of them, really, but that was the final nail in my coffin.
Mm-hmm.
So you're free from all substances now, including alcohol?
Yeah, I'm like a real sober person.
Right on.
He won't even have CBD lotion.
Yeah, I don't know where the world stands on that exactly. Do you have an opinion on that? I always like to ask people that.
I do not have an opinion on that.
Well, great. Thank you for sharing.
So, okay, that is his story. My story is that I do drugs and alcohol.
Right on.
Yeah, but I'm not addicted to them right now that much.
So what's your story?
My story, I don't call myself sober because I do consume cannabis and I'd be open to consuming other substances, just not alcohol. So I don't really have a label for that. But yeah, I don't.
I like that.
I don't drink. What's your preferred method of cannabis consumption?
I like edibles, and I'm really getting into these low dose THC infused beverages I'm seeing come onto the market. I'm currently not. I'm currently just free of all substances, just to take a break for a few months. But yeah, just before I went on this little break, I was really
guzzling
into
the recess.
So you're doing like
no,
a dry,
not the recess. That's CBD.
December?
So I mean, look. The reason why I say I don't have an opinion about the CBD thing is I can't purport, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to play the shtick thing here with you guys. I'm kind of too earnest, I think, for you. But
that won't keep us from trying, my friend.
I mean, I think there are some sober people who won't even drink kombucha, even though it's the kombucha they're purchasing is technically under 0.5 ABV.
Yeah.
I don't know, to each his own. CBD is a non-intoxicant, but it is psychoactive. And depending on the way I know you talked to Verena, who's like a font of information here, depending on the way your unique endocannabinoid system interacts with the CBD, you may feel an effect, and that may make you uncomfortable if you're a sober person. Yeah, so I don't know. I can't, I have no opinion, on it.
I think my system is desperate to feel something. So I think that could be, I think that could happen to me.
Well, I guess you could argue that the pre-workout powder could be more psychoactive than some, CBD lotion, Chris.
I mean, that's very possible. That's very possible. But I think the CBD thing, the explosion has been interesting to watch. But you're saying you're into THC beverages.
Yes. So, yeah, you had mentioned Recess, which is a CBD beverage.
I'm sorry.
And there are other like cannabinoids in there too, but not THC. So I'm sure you learned from Verena too, like there's this thing called the entourage effect. Like there are lots of CBD infused products that are using isolate, and that really like has no effect. And in fact, like CBD edibles, it's not the most effective way to get the CBD if you're looking for a therapeutic effect anyway.
Yeah.
We can talk about that. But yeah, THC is definitely an intoxicant. And I'm like, I'm open to intoxicants.
Wow, that's a very cool way to say I'm down to party.
Well, that's the thing. So I have done other drugs that are more conducive to partying in my career. But
are you also a career cocaine user?
No, I think like I dabbled in college and enjoyed it, but
cool.
It was time to put it down. I think I was 25 the last time I did it.
Wow.
I'm now almost 38, so it's been a while. And it was never problematic. Cannabis is something that affects me in a way that I don't think I could go out into the world and be social when I'm intoxicated. It's definitely something that I do sort of with a close group of friends, or I really enjoy consuming cannabis alone.
Yeah, I prefer to do it alone. I like to have a by myself meeting, as it were, where you can just really drift off with no inhibitions.
Yeah, but these like low dose, I mean, the technology has so improved that with a lot of these beverages compared to like 5, certainly 10 years ago. First of all, it used to be that like there'd be this slick of oil on top of the liquid, right? Like now, the nano emulsification means that like not only is it more evenly dispersed throughout the beverage, but also because, and this is a little bit beyond, where what my brain can compute scientifically, but the way I understand it is that like the molecules are so small that you also absorb it more quickly. So you're getting the effect within 15 minutes as opposed to say anywhere from, half an hour to an hour. And that means like you can gauge how much you can take over the course of the night. So I really like that these kind of sessionable ones, if you will, are like 2.5 milligrams of a little kind of rosemary and orange soda. I mean, I think that's another thing is the flavors are a lot more sophisticated these days. There's, kind of lavender lemon. There's this brand Cann, Cann, that I like a lot. There's another called Artet that is a THC infused
These
aperitif.
names are twisted.
I know, right? It's.
I was gonna say they're bad, but they're definitely not worse than like craft beer, session IPAs.
Yeah, Artet was some play on the long version of THC, tetrahydra, blah blah blah. I don't know.
Okay.
But I think just this month, the boys at Artet came out with little canned cocktails. So I'm interested in trying those when I'm over this little break.
Yeah, what's up with the canned cocktail thing? Is that really going to happen? Like work?
I think so.
You mean across the board, like for alcoholic cocktails too?
Yes. Yeah. Like, is that a direction we're really going to move in? Because I feel like I've heard about it for a while, but it's definitely not mainstream.
It's a good question. I don't know. I mean, they're like Aaron Polsky. What is the name of his? Livewire. Aaron Polsky used to work at Harvard and Stone in LA. I think. Are you guys based in LA, both of you?
I am. I'm familiar with the cursed Harvard and Stone.
Yeah, I've been to Harvard and Stone with Jason in 2012.
Who amongst us hasn't been date raped there? But I'm sure the guy makes a slamming little craft cocktail to go.
He does. I mean, he was in New York for a while. I think worked at like Milk and Honey and and
yeah. I have a friend who has a company called On the Rocks, I believe. They do that. I think I've noticed that the biggest innovation point for that seems to be for air travel. How it's just so much easier to not have to make a cocktail in that little room if you're a flight attendant.
Yeah. And it's just, I think for anyone, it's about convenience, right? Like they want something interesting that they know that somebody who knows what they're doing crafted, right, but they really just want to open it and pour it instead of doing all the work.
No, totally. I mean,
I think we become more autonomous.
Yes. I mean, watching what weed has become is crazy to me because when I was smoking weed every day, it wasn't that cool. It took a lot of work.
Back in my day, it was looked down upon by society and most people.
Yeah, it's a crazy shift to see like my parents sniffing around.
Oh.
Yeah, especially, I mean, I think like beverages are a familiar format, right? So for somebody who is intimidated by like the whole conversation about flour with a bud tender at a dispensary, or
I mean, I've met a couple
by the idea of smoking.
I've met a couple 6-footers that I've been intimidated by. I'm not talking about shooting guards.
I mean, I guess when anything becomes mainstream and overbranded, it's for the masses now, and that's why it's working. But I think the gold rush is over.
Yeah, we'll see.
I don't think so. I think we're just.
But to answer the question about as far as alcohol goes, I mean, I arrived at the place of being alcohol free absolutely because of a complicated relationship with it. So,
so why do you feel like you're still able to participate in the other stuff?
I don't know, Chris. I'm on my own journey here. I mean.
Oh no, I mean, like,
Chris, have you tried these THC drinks? They're just
no.
Good.
I'm saying I'm impressed. That I'm not questioning your decision.
Yeah. He speaks from a place of envy, I'm assuming.
Yeah. No. I mean, I guess I just don't have a sort of an answer for you that I can tie in a bow. I think just from playing with these things, I've noticed that my cannabis use doesn't seem to ultimately become problematic. And I guess what I would determine as problematic is that I don't know, that I maybe am doing it every day, that I'm doing it to the point that I'm like giving up on other activities I'm into because I'd rather, consume cannabis. Like what do we consider as problematic use? I would have my own definitions, but I've been able to kind of take it or leave it. Although I will admit that like part of the reason why I'm taking this little break from it is because I had written a story on these THC infused drinks, and that means I had a lot of product in my house. And
so you were pouring up on the daily.
Like every other day, which for me before then, I don't know, would take an edible like maybe I would order from a dispensary and have a packet that I'd get through in a month and then not order until the next year. Like it's something I indulge in sort of seldom. And so once the product was in my house, I definitely was going through it. So I was like, maybe this is something we need to peel back from. So we'll see. But that's the only time in my life, which I guess I first consumed cannabis ever like 2 decades. I mean, I don't know. Maybe 15 years ago or so, but that's the first time in my life that I would say my own use perplexed me or worried me. So who knows? Should I go that route again when I decide to consume it at some point in the near future? Yeah, is that something I need to stay away from? I'll report back to you on what this journey becomes.
Did your subsequent partial addiction to this make the story that you were writing about it, or no?
No, it was a reported story. It wasn't about me. And even with this book,
maybe for the Substack,
save it for the subby.
But I mean, for this book I wrote, which is really, I mean, I struggle even with saying I wrote because it rests on the work of all these people whose job it is to make drinks and, people who are really experts. I'm just like the hype girl, really, like I'm
actually,
I'm just
how did that work?
You produced
logistically.
In terms of
just give me that recipe.
No, did you just collect it all from all your favorites? Was that the idea and you had to manage that process?
So I went on my own road trip, boys. Okay. And I was alone in my Subaru Impreza for about 5 months, driving.
I bet you found a little bit more than non-alcoholic cocktails.
I did. It got weird out there, a couple of points. But
what kind of weird? We sleeping in the Impreza?
No.
She's like, no, sweetie, I got an advance for this book. It's a little different for you little broke podcasters.
Okay.
The advance for a very niche drinks book, sir, is not, is maybe
just
not
let me gas you up, okay? Let me gas you up.
Yeah, look, I mean, first removed alcohol from my life because it's gone in and out a couple times since, I guess, 5 years ago. And luckily, I'm not someone who the nature of my particular substance use disorder, if you will, wasn't such that I felt like triggered by being in bar and restaurant environments. So I was out with friends in, 2015 at bars and restaurants, not drinking, but looking for something that wasn't, soda and wasn't water. And I just noticed, oh my gosh, there's something going on. And oh my gosh, these kind of more thoughtful non-alcoholic options in some places, right? Not everywhere, but are given names and they're taking up real estate on the menu, and like something is really happening here. And how exciting, to be a non-drinker at the time when we seem to be better served than before. So really, ultimately, the book is a journalistic endeavor, if you will. I mean, it was just wanting to capture all these different approaches towards building these drinks and celebrating them and offering them up to people at home to make. But also I wanted, and of course, looking at this through 2020, is sad, because I also wanted the book to act as a literal guidebook, meaning like if you're someone who doesn't drink or you're just looking to cut back, whatever, here's where you can go to get a really thoughtful non-alcoholic beverage. Some of the places have closed for good, that contributed recipes. But luckily, I mean, I'd been writing about food and drinks for a little while. So I, had some connections in that realm, and I guess some notoriety that led some of the people I reached out to say yes to me when I asked them to have a chat. And for those people who ultimately contributed to the book, who I didn't know before, that's part of why the road trip was important, because I'm ultimately using your intellectual property and putting it in this book, and of course I would argue that that's good for them to be a part of a book, but really, this is something that you toiled over, and you're giving it to me to put it on a book that my name is on the cover. So it was really important to me that I meet people in person, that I create relationships with them. And there were some people who, for that very reason, didn't want to contribute recipes to the book. And I absolutely understand that. Right.
That sounds pretty fun overall. The process.
Yeah. It was like, I cast a really wide net. I tasted with people. I talked. There's only so much research you can do in general, but especially in this space, which is relatively new, from afar. It's really important, I think, to pound the pavement for a number of reasons. One, yes, you start with research based on what's already been written locally. But so little has been written about this, aside from like dry January content. That once you're on the ground, you go to the places that have been written about, but you ask where else, are there good non-alcoholic options, and you come up with so much more that is worth considering. And because I wanted it to act as a guidebook too, it was important that I see the spaces, right? Like there's only so much you can get from a restaurant website. You could have a really slick website because you've got money for great PR or whatever else it is.
But it's not.
But actually, it's not a place I want to spend the night in, right? So all of these places had to have like my stamp of approval.
You had to do a literal vibe check, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. And it was fun. I met, got to see some food writers I know across the country and on their home turfs. Got to meet people who I'd only had, virtual friendships with in person. Got to meet all kinds of new
you probably had to makers. You probably had to go to some shitholes, though. Let's be honest. City-wise.
Yeah, I mean, like city-wise.
Yeah. Come on.
I'm not going to call anything a shithole. that's
Wow. You're stronger than me, and I like that.
That's a Trump move, man.
That is a Trump move, actually.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, I'm not running for anything. But we've talked about non-alcoholic cocktails a lot on this show, as you know, and we've talked about Giha specifically. But I think as a sober person, the reason this has never appealed to me, and I've traced this back, is because I was vegan when I was very young. And I really didn't like people to fuss over me.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? So like if it was a meal somewhere and there wasn't something for me, I didn't ever want anyone to go out of their way or for that to be an issue.
You were fine just eating the French fries.
Exactly, which is not the best approach, but I think that's the memories that are burned into my mind. And
but the good thing about this is like that these options exist means there's something for you to point to and order. And in fact, it's no fuss is being made when it's actually a recipe that they've, created and they've given a name and it's on the menu. It's like you avoid the whole back and forth of, oh, I'm not drinking. What kinds of things do you have? And blah, 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 blah. I mean, they're proper drinks that are taking up space. I think
we're normalizing.
Yeah.
And there's some resistance to that.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know what it is about it. I mean, we tried the Gia as more of a funny thing. I mean, we were drinking it neat. So that
neat
was
and warm.
That was more just
and
for
warm.
fun.
I did, yeah. For FYI, I think my favorite way to drink it is just like with soda water and a little hit of some kind of acid, like lemon juice, I think, just a tiny bit.
That sounds like a great preparation that I will be enjoying when I'm at home at the wet bar. But we didn't have anything, unfortunately.
We didn't have a lot of supplies for this, but I guess
you know about life on the road.
Does that genre of product, like, is that going to push the non-alcoholic drink trend forward, or is it going to complicate it?
I hope it's not a trend. I just think like the more that legitimately good products like this come onto the market, the more those people who do drink are interested in sometimes drinking these things. And that's what's important for it to become mainstream, right? Like I love that, on the pages of Bon Appetit magazine recently, they talked about 3 of their favorite new aperitifs, and one of them was Gia, and there wasn't a big fuss made about it's non-alcoholic and these 2 have alcohol. They just existed together. My hope is that like in 5 years, there won't be a need for a book like mine, that like alcohol-free mixed drinks will be, a part of regular quote unquote drinks books. And that's kind of already happening. You see John DeBerry with Drink What You Want has an alcohol-free chapter. You see, Leo, like over at the Nomad, Maggie Hoffman's, batch cocktails, has a bunch of alcohol-free options, peppered throughout. Like, why not?
Why not? Yeah, we don't need to have a best male and best female actor award at the Oscars. The list goes on.
Yeah, I mean, I think the same thing, like in terms of Dry January. I know some people roll their eyes. I know in the media you get lots of Dry January pitches, and it's sort of the same thing as any kind of national food holiday thing, right? It's like, in a way, I think the popularity of Dry January, I think, is great and interesting to me because I think it shows just how much people like the opportunity to take a pause and maybe like consider what their relationship to alcohol is. But I think that we'll see that happening in a more ongoing fashion. Like there won't need to be a dedicated month for it.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I think that at least for me and what I've seen, and you and I are exactly the same age, like partying isn't cool for the generation that's coming up. Like it's a very different climate that they're entering into where that's not necessarily a huge part of their social life.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I've heard that, and I'm sort of reluctant to make we don't yet have data enough data for me to be able to speak on this articulately or in a way that I feel like super comfortable with it appearing in an audio format for public consumption, which is what we're doing right now. But but I don't know. A lot of people say that this generation is drinking less, and there is some data to support that. But I'm also like, yeah, but they're doing Special K. Like, I don't know that they're overall.
They are cooler. I agree with you.
Very, very good point. It's a very, very good point.
That is a good point. I guess I'm speaking solely from personal experience of younger people that I know. You know what I mean? This is a case by case basis, but
no, I've heard both.
They're much more concerned with like work and being healthy, kind of, than I ever was at that age.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I was talking about this book with someone who's much younger, I think in her early 20s. And yeah, she kind of didn't get it. Like I felt this disconnect.
She's like,
because
what?
she,
so it's a
yeah,
book?
when I was talking about like, oh, non-drinkers, this maybe felt like second-class citizens. This is about like making those people who are sober feel more seen. And she was just like, huh? Like could not compute. And and in a way, I like think that's great. Yeah.
Like
that
proves your point.
That's a good
Yeah,
sign.
but, like our drinking pendulum swings wildly, has swung wildly
as a society
in America, right? Yeah, like it was specifically in this country's short life, we were like the drunkest country in the world, to one that outlawed drinking, then back to excess in the 50s and 60s. And I just,
if that ain't America, I tell you what.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to overstate this kind of trend, if you will, towards moderation or this whole alcohol-free movement, because like alcoholism is still a significant health problem, and there's still lots of alcohol-related deaths, but I do wonder if like we might be moving in a more balanced direction for real. You know, I
mean, you said it's a pendulum.
Yeah,
but eventually that pendulum, as it slows down, we will find that singularity right in the middle.
Yeah, like can it swing less wildly, and might we, be?
I mean, we'll have a utopia, baby.
That's true. We need it. We need to calm down, just in general.
What has this road trip? I don't know. Any learnings about yourselves?
We make too many podcasts a week.
Yeah. So by the way, did you stop doing your podcast?
I make it pretty like sporadically, sort of when no, I haven't stopped completely, but I'm trying to figure out where to take it. I think in some ways I could make it the way it's been made, until the end of time. But in another way, I feel like I don't know how to carry forward this work and make it the best it can be if I don't muscle up with some more formalized knowledge on this topic. And I just feel like I want this kind of loneliness work to become something bigger. And
So are you saying that you need your patrons to pay for you to go to graduate school?
I have applied for graduate school, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, because it sounds like, the best thing to do when one feels they are hitting a plateau is to apply for grad school, right?
Exactly.
Well, this particular degree, and I won't get into details, knock on wood, I probably, I only applied to a few very competitive schools and don't have the relevant experience for this particular degree. So,
what is the particular degree?
It's very possible that it won't happen, but it would solve a couple problems. One is formalizing my knowledge around this stuff in a way that I feel like I can legitimately carry forward the sort of loneliness stuff.
Can you explain what this stuff is to our listeners who don't?
Yeah, sorry, we didn't even let you set that up.
Oh, what the podcast is about?
What the podcast is about, and why getting a master's degree in a subject would help you with that podcast.
Well, I guess before I do that, the other thing getting a master's degree would solve is setting me up with like a new career, because media is miserable.
Hey, speak for yourself. I love it. Okay? I don't have a Substack or a Patreon. I still like it.
Well, good. I don't.
That's great for you. Good for you.
He is able to make $300 a week work for him.
I mean, look, it's a privilege to get to do it. Like I'm going to want to continue to follow this, alcohol-free stuff. And I hope I get the opportunity to continue writing profiles here and there, and to get better at that. But as a full-time job, it's just totally become unsustainable, for me.
Sure.
But the show was launched in 2016. This was like, before our former and I think future Surgeon General Vivek Murthy was talking about the loneliness epidemic, and certainly before COVID arrived. And
flex.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, obviously Vivek Murthy was already like well engaged in the research, before, of course, he came out with his eventual study. So he's like the GOAT in terms of
somebody's got to make it palatable.
He's the lonely goat.
Somebody's got to put it in the AirPods.
Yeah, like the idea, it's a quiet show. I mean, it's to me, I guess it's a strange paradox that loneliness is endemic to being human, and yet it's taboo in our culture. And so the mission was sort of to destigmatize loneliness. Like, could I show how entirely normal it is through storytelling, and could I put this big thing into small kind of packages that are approachable, meaning episodes? And could there even be joy and humor in the mix, as is true to life? Like, yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Now, acceptance of loneliness as part of the human condition doesn't mean that chronic loneliness isn't an issue, or that like fraying social bonds don't need attention. So I think that's the stuff that that I'm interested in ultimately, like a conversation I'm interested in participating in, but I don't feel well enough equipped just being a journalist to do so.
I'm really impressed.
Well, I feel like you can learn on the job, though. You seem pretty well versed, I will say.
Yeah, I feel like this podcast is all about us talking about shit we don't know about. So your value.
It sounds like she cares about her appearance in life more than we do.
Yeah, she's smart and we're not. That's what's it's very clear. That's what's
starting
happening.
to shift around and work its way out.
I like to see that.
I appreciate it. Look, I mean, the show's made in a very particular way with a simple mission, and sure, it could be made this way until, I'm in my 80s. And,
sure.
And, would I be comfortable then with somebody saying I had some expertise on loneliness? Yeah, but not now. I mean, I think because this has become a hot topic, a lot of people in the media do a quick Google search, and there are very few people whose names are attached to the topic of loneliness. So there I appear, and somebody comes to me like, hey, what are 7 ways to combat loneliness? And I'm like, that's not at all what this is about. And, but I bristle, like I say, look, I'm not a cognitive neuroscientist. I'm not a sociologist. Like, I absolutely am not an expert on this topic, but
I'm merely a podcaster.
Yeah, the words.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a storyteller.
I'm learning
along with my audience.
Are not
Go ahead, sorry.
Your words you're saying are not unlike the words of one Joe Rogan. He's always kind of always proclaiming that he's, I'm no genius. I'm no expert on the subject, but still, something about him, maybe it's being a straight white man, allows him to do that without feeling any...
allows him to poke his chest out. Well, what is this...
Well, but yes and no. So, I mean, the show that I'm making, the way in which it is made, excuse me, I've had like 5 coffees today to talk about drugs. I feel like
I'm high as hell right now, then, if that's what we're talking about.
Yeah. I don't ever come across or purport to be an expert, and I don't need to have expertise to make the show in the way in which it's made and for it to have value. Now, if I want to do more work in this space, that's where I feel like I do need to muscle up with expertise, hence the application to school and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, I have been in tandem with making the show in this very particular way. I have been studying this, since 2016. So sure, I know more than the average person because I have daily Google alerts for lonely and solitude.
But you also have, I mean, is there a more popular, more successful podcast about loneliness than yours?
Well, I guess we'd have to define what we mean by popular and successful, but no.
Is there somebody in the lonely pod game that is just shitting on you right now?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, then you have the
You're
power
the GOAT.
to...
We're not going to let you talk like this about yourself. We're gassing you up on this fucking podcast.
Why would you go get a master's degree from just one person when you can have every expert on the subject gladly appear on your podcast and you can ask them any question you want for hours on end?
Because I think I'd like to also be
She's trying to make money other ways.
I'd like to also be an expert who can maybe ask more, better questions, if you will. But also, again, I want this degree to help me make a more real living and to be able to more directly help people with the expertise I would ostensibly gain. I want to be a therapist. I want to be a therapist.
She's tired of logging into the Condé Nast e-payables. Is what
I'm just trying to make sure that she's not a career student and that she achieves everything that she's achieving.
How long is this program going to take you?
2 years.
Oh, okay, that's pretty mellow.
I'm not sure. Yeah, there's part of me, guys, wanted to be, Dr. Bainbridge and jump in with a PhD.
It does have a nice ass ring to it. I'm not going to front.
Yeah, it does sound pretty good.
I would trust you.
Yeah, I also have this whole new, I feel like my outfits are going to change when I move into this realm. I've got a whole pencil skirt vibe.
You got
planned.
the Agnes B ready to go?
Yeah. What are your go-to therapist brands?
I would say Esther Perel is sort of like the sexiest, smartest, one out there. But what are we saying? Yeah, I don't know. I forget.
We're talking about you getting money.
We're life coaching you.
We're talking about you getting money, and if you get this degree and you got the podcast, you're going on the Today Show.
Yeah. Before we were just letting you. Sorry. Never mind. Go ahead.
Then you're really the expert.
Yeah, we'll see. I think I'd have to get the degree. I'd have to practice for a while, and then down the road, yes, combine that with my experience in media to maybe contribute to public thought on mental health. Mm-hmm. There we are.
Is there a type of therapy that you have a specific interest in?
No, I'm so, I think I would just do clinical work and sort of with individuals. Mm-hmm. But I'm not particularly interested in substance abuse per se, or I think that's what getting into the program would sort of help guide me. I think hopefully I did a good job of convincing them in my essays that I'm somebody who deserves a shot, but I do not have the typical experience required to get into these kind of schools. So
that's what's cool. I think that gives you a leg up, honestly.
Let's hope someone in the admissions office is thinks like you do.
Look, Julia, I'm connected. So once we get off the podcast, just let me know.
We're firm believers that wild cards have more fun.
Yeah, it is nothing to me to send a quick email to the admissions board at any Ivy League college. Just let me know.
Okay, thanks.
So Julia, right now, how lonely are you right now on a scale of 1 to 100?
I don't know on the scale, but I'd say there's been, I do miss my friends, and I worry about sort of what those relationships will look like when we get out of this. Just not having that daily, I don't know, not daily, I didn't see them daily before, but having a regular sort of affirmation to each other that we're in each other's lives, I really miss being in the same physical space as my friend. I miss dancing in are we ever going to be able to dance in a dark, sweaty basement ever
again? It's interesting
again?
that you asked that, because we were talking on the last episode about Jason's former career as a DJ, and he said he might never DJ again. His words.
I know, it's sad.
As much as I miss the club, I also, with every day that passes, I'm becoming more and more okay with never seeing a club again, perhaps.
Yeah, I don't know. That's another thing I kind of worry about. Are we getting too comfortable with this kind of life? And it's we are hardwired to be social animals, and but we also like to be comfortable. And I think that sometimes maybe those two things work against each other. I wonder if a lot more events, even after this, when it's safe to move about more freely, will remain virtual, and I won't actually be hopping on the subway to go uptown and be in a space to see somebody, say, perform or whatever it is. And there's so much magic involved in that, but it's so much easier.
Anywhere, I'm going.
Well, sadly, I think it's only going to be more normal to have these virtual events from home.
We all can agree.
We'll see. I hate to
Well, I think going out socially will become the new vinyl. It'll be just a novel thing that old timers do.
No, don't say that.
I mean, I don't want that to happen at all. I'm just being, pessimistic. And also, by the time that eventually does happen, we will be too old to go to the club anyway.
Well,
we're already too old to go to the club.
Yeah, I'm talking about the virtual club.
The virtual shit is terrible.
They're gonna look at my outfit on the virtual club and be like, "Mm."
Did you do a bunch of virtual book events?
I actually had Club Bainbridge.
I'm sorry, what? I thought Jason was the only DJ on this podcast.
Wow.
No, so I do. This happened totally.
Do you guys do direct-to-consumer framing as well?
No, Club, it was funny. So I didn't do a ton of virtual events. I really poured my energy into just both traditional press coverage and honestly, giveaways on Instagram, just getting the book's existence in front of people, especially people not necessarily in food, in fashion, in sort of other realms. But no, I mean, the launch party, if you will, was a very me, sort of very, very weird, just event. So early on in the pandemic, because I did miss, being with friends and especially dancing, I'm someone who loves to dance.
What kind of dance? What kind of club? Real quick, what kind of clubs are we talking about? What kind of music genre are we talking?
Salsa?
To?
I'm all over the board, but I definitely am like a 90s R&B kind of gal.
Oh, okay. Understood.
But I mean,
all genres welcome.
Yes, but we should talk about that offline. I can send you some stuff I'm into lately.
If you don't want to big up Solange on this podcast, you can tell us why.
Solange is definitely my like dinner party music. Solange and Miles Davis, but dancing is a different situation. Okay. So she's a
Euro certified freak, is what you are.
So that's what it sounded like to me.
Okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, you're correct, sir.
Yes. So I started early on in the pandemic, just like, I don't know, dancing around in my apartment, and like other people started kind of dancing around too. And we were sharing back and forth, I guess, as an effort to feel like we were together in dancing. And so then I started just being silly as a joke, saying like Club Bainbridge opens its doors 9 p.m. tonight. Like I just started just doing that, and it became a thing, and people would enter the club.
What platform was that?
It's so rudimentary. Only on Instagram stories, and it's like the way that you quote unquote enter the club is you just tag me and I restore you. That's it. It's not sophisticated.
That's a good idea.
This is very lo-fi.
I like this.
Very lo-fi.
You could do all of this on OnlyFans, though, is what I'm saying.
My invite must have gotten lost in the mail.
That's how I'm going to make my income before I get into grad school, or while I'm in grad school.
Who's to say?
You could be the first OnlyFans non-alcoholic mixologist.
I guess that's
something
true.
to consider.
There's probably more than one, actually. Sorry.
Anyway, ultimately, it just became this funny thing, and some people were looking forward to it. And then when it came time to for the book launch party, just on launch day, to have some kind of energy to celebrate, I decided that it would be Club Bainbridge, good drinks party. So it was really fun. Like a lot of people, quote unquote, came, and their music choices were funny. There's a highlight, seriously, like now looking back, if you go through the highlight for the launch party, it's like, it's fun. And it looks like, I don't know. It was, it definitely looks like a party, but totally out of my weird little brain.
So who knew you would have invented, you may have invented a whole new form of socializing on accident.
It's funny that some people, to celebrate launches of their various projects during this time, have come to me saying, could they steal that idea if they give me proper credit? And I'm like, I don't think I invented it, but sure, you can. But as far as the loneliness thing, so yes, I miss my friends. Although I'm pretty good with stretches of time alone, I have enjoyed this time to kind of turn inward and think and do work and apply to school and whatnot. But I also have fallen in love.
Alone? Sorry? Oh.
I live alone, but I've fallen completely in love with someone. And that's been a really great unexpected joy.
What's his Zoom handle?
Does it go by the name of Jesus Christ?
No, part of the reason I'm so caffeinated is that his restaurant officially opened today, and I was there early in the morning, being also a hype girl for that project.
I thought David Chang was married, but
rule number 1: never date a chef. You know that.
I've dated some in the past, but this one is okay, special.
Good. No, this is interesting. That was a joke. There's some good chefs out there.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks. I mean,
on being in love.
It's a strange thing because I'm almost 38, as I said, and I think I've had a robust dating and sex life, but I really came around to being and I've had some great loves in my life, but I reached a point kind of towards the end of last year where I was like, you know what, I just don't think long-term monogamous partnership is going to happen for me. And I guess that's okay. I love my friends. I'm going to find,
I can still freak off in the DMs.
Totally. And and I have dalliances that are fun and entertaining, and maybe this is enough.
Damn, you're making this sound good.
Yeah, I need to go to grad school so when I recount my previous life of premarital sex, I can also do it so eloquently. You're making it sound not so bad.
Yeah, I'm a red-blooded woman, but
sure. Well, I might have had some dalliances with a woman who entered the DJ booth.
I said, "Damn, shorty." Okay, God. Okay. Was this a quarantine COVID courtship, or had this been going on pre?
No. So yeah, I guess what I'm saying is I sort of came to this determination that like, look, my life is great without it. And then he just sort of arrived. And I think it was only because I came to that this was able to just like become whatever it was going to be. I had no expectations. There was no pressure on it. I think, in the past when I've wanted it so bad, I've like suffocated things that could have been something
I met a couple girls
into
like
ending. Totally.
Yeah, Jason does that to me in our relationship.
I mean, yeah. We've all been guilty of hugging the baby.
Of it. Yeah. I mean, at different points, I've been like, I don't want, I'm not built for monogamy. And then sometimes I like want it so badly, it just, I go through different sort of thinking on this through the course of time. But
City girls,
yeah. So we did meet during this time and had and in a way too, I think we, without the joy but also the complication of physical intimacy, like we sort of built this foundation.
That's called edging, by the way, and it works quite well.
I've heard about Christian teenagers kind of taking that same approach.
Yeah, I'm in a long-term relationship, but we'll do quarantine play. Yeah, the N95 stays on during sex, baby.
Chris, put that gas mask away.
That's a great way to really stir up sensual romance and desire, is not being able to get where my hug at, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think also I don't know, I haven't approached sex this way in a long time, where like basically, I mean, I was pretty much in love with this guy before I slept with him without saying it out loud. And like ultimately when we did have sex, it was like I wanted to show him how I felt about him and vice versa. And I've been very casual with my body in the past.
You wanted to put that thing on it.
Was there ever nerves of it? That's a little bit of a pressure after it's been built up for so long.
Of course.
Thank God that our man hit it out of the park.
I mean, me too. I guess could have yeah.
I bet the cocktails were alcoholic that night.
No. We were like, there's like, what if, yeah, there's all this pressure. Like all of this stuff was really on the table. So we were like, okay, we're going to give it at least 3 tries before we judge whether or not this is working.
Smart. Yeah. They always say to get 3 quotes and then pick the one in the middle.
Luckily, the first time was great.
Damn, my man! Shout out to you! Congratulations on the new restaurant.
Yeah, we love to hear. What are the chances of him listening to this episode?
If I send it to him, he will, but otherwise, not.
You don't know our reach. You don't know what we're capable of. It's very possible that he's a long-time subscriber.
Don't send it to him, because then I don't want him to kick my ass or something.
This is actually, Julia, though. I think this story is a New York Times modern love.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, there have been a couple little stories about this story, and I think that's where it's got to end, because I've been free with this part of my personal life, but now's where I'd like to keep it personal.
You're not trying to go full Kourtney Kardashian.
Well, also, yeah, I mean, I think all of that has been pressure on the relationship. I'd like it to just be able to exist now. Without
That's
all
smart.
the
well, okay,
the
I guess
of it.
You shouldn't write the novel loosely based on your life to get into grad school.
I mean, but I'm fully proposing to him next year.
Definitely don't send him to this.
Does he know that?
Oh no, we both know it. We've discussed this.
Why are you doing it? He put all his money into this restaurant. He can't afford a ring, or is this just you subverting gender norms?
The latter, but just 2 days ago, he was like, you know what? I really want to be the one to do it. So who knows?
Wow.
We might just propose to each other.
Damn.
This is very nice to hear. I like this story.
I think this story a lot too.
First real romantic tale we've had on this podcast.
We don't really get much uplifting stuff on this podcast.
Well, I'm happy to.
Yeah, whatever the opposite of doom scrolling is, that's what happened today.
Mm-hmm. My third eye is fucking open. I'm shocked right now.
Yeah, I mean, I was a little reluctant, I think, to talk about this because obviously, I have been reluctant to talk about this year, even with my friends, because obviously so many people are going through such horrible shit. But
that's not fair.
But yeah, in the end, I think I remember when he told his best friend or best friends, like a couple who's married, about me at sort of somewhere in the middle of this year. And they just like cried, and they were like, I'm just so relieved to be hearing something good coming out of this. So I guess that's why I felt more encouraged to talk about it. It is nice.
We still need to hear these good stories just to keep us going.
And I hope that couple pre-ordered the book.
Oh, no. I also do. I mean, I'm not someone who like is particularly. I guess I am romantic, but I don't get easily swept up or carried away. And so this has been
takes a lot of wind to blow your sails.
I mean, it's just been odd to like, I mean, truly fall in love with someone within this amount of time and this, but it just feels so solid. Like,
hey, when a girl knows, a girl knows.
And I guess the guy knows too. Like
Absolutely.
we, it's
when they know, they know.
Yeah.
Well,
to anybody,
now we have season 2 for your podcast, Loneliness in Love.
That's also a Netflix dating show.
Well, yeah, it's interesting that like some of the people, the shape of the show has shifted over the years. But the first season, I remember one of the questions I always ask my guests out of curiosity is like, what was a sort of the loneliest feeling they've ever had? And so many people referenced it being in partnerships that didn't suit them, and one woman was like, I had this guy who I knew loved me and I knew would be a great partner in a lot of ways, but I also knew I didn't love him back, and I knew I was going to end this because he deserves more, right? But just like that morning that she knew she was going to do it, rolling over in bed and like looking at his face while he was sleeping, that was the loneliest she felt.
Okay, Julia, it's been great talking to you. Thank you for that. Wow, you build us up just to break us down.
Wow.
Good God.
I thought I was just going to say I actually like being lonely sometimes, blah blah blah, like whatever I've gone through is not loneliness after what you've been telling me.
You like being alone sometimes. There's a difference. That's different.
Mm-hmm. Even I know that, and I don't have a PhD.
No, I like that too.
I mean, the loneliness does have merits, but do you mean you really like... So aloneness is a state. Loneliness is like... one has to do with perception, but also loneliness is an inherently like sad feeling over that state. It's something that you don't want at that time. You're saying that you...
Well, sometimes it feels like a hug from an old friend. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
How much Elliott Smith do you listen to? Because I equate loneliness to music exclusively. Not exclusively, but often.
Yeah, the music he listens to is that bad that it can clear a room.
I think it's sad is what you're looking for.
Well, I think loneliness appears so much in music and not elsewhere because we are uncomfortable with it. Yeah, so like, put a tune and a beat to it and it's more palatable. But it's absolutely something we all feel, and that's okay, guys.
Yep, yeah, Phoebe Bridgers' new album in stores now.
So the main theory or the main draw from it is that loneliness is something that we all participate in. What are some other things that we all participate in?
It is part of the mixed bag of what it is to be human.
What are those? So the other things that are also considered taboo, masturbation, things like that, I guess is another example.
I guess I don't have the taboo show, so I'm not an expert in that realm. But
she says, "Shut up, TJ."
But
that's fair.
I think money. Like we have trouble talking about money. I would say.
We ain't got trouble talking about money on this side. You crazy for that? We talk about money all day.
Some people do.
I think death, sex, and money.
Yeah.
Isn't that a podcast on the NPR network?
It is, but speaking of Esther Perel, I just took a 3-part seminar with her on taboo, and the sessions were death, sex, and money.
Damn.
Okay, well,
can you send us the taboo sessions PDF, please?
Use Julia's code on Masterclass at checkout. It's lonely20 to get a discount on that taboo program.
Mm-hmm.
The death thing is interesting, and I know we have to wrap now, and I don't necessarily want to leave us on that.
The death thing is interesting. Gotta go.
No, let's do a quick 15 on death, real quick.
Honestly, this is the roller coaster of a podcast.
Yeah, you want to talk about lonely? damn, 6 feet deep in the coffin?
Do you mean this episode is a roller coaster, or my show?
This episode is a roller coaster. You have led us down so many trails.
I'm pleased by.
Welcome to my world, gentlemen.
The multitudes that you contain has been enjoyable. Do you have any questions for us?
Yeah. Well, we talked about what this road trip has taught you, but I don't think you answered in a serious fashion. So I genuinely like to know.
Yeah, I was saying that it's taught me how much I'm grateful for what I have at home. Did I say that?
You said that to me before the podcast.
Oh yeah. That's kind of like, I don't know. I guess it's a sign that your life is going in a way that you like. But my girlfriend and I talk about it, where oftentimes when we travel places, it just makes us miss our home more. Yeah, and that makes us like proud of the home that we've built together, I guess.
Lovely. Oh, that's nice.
And it also, I guess it means that we need to be making more money. So when we're going to places, we're like, damn, this place is nice. It's much better than our home.
Yes, that's what my takeaway. I don't know if I've had a very weird year of being like transient, kind of. So it feels pretty normal to me to be doing this. Just because
he's been living out of a suitcase all year.
Yeah, I basically went to Montreal where my girl lives, and then I drove to Atlanta. And then I've been in LA, so it doesn't feel that different to me.
Right on. What do you miss about living in Atlanta?
Nothing.
Come on.
I mean, I like the weather. I like the seasons. I like running in Piedmont Park.
The cigarettes are cheaper.
Gas are cheaper. No, I mean, I think a lot of the stuff that I like there is just stuff I've always liked. I want to go get a burrito at Elmira. I want to run in the park. I want to get a coffee at Aurora. Like, no matter how much the city changes and evolves, I just want to do what I did when I lived there.
Yeah.
But I mean,
that comfort.
I do miss New York, but I know that going back to it is going to look very different than when I left.
Right.
Know, which I'm prepared to see in the next, couple weeks.
Are you?
I mean, I'm excited to see my clothes. Give my bookshelf a big hug. Julia,
yes.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me and allowing me to be my serious and earnest self.
No, we need this sometimes. You know what I mean? We need to be put in our place.
Yeah, you were the slap in the face that I needed today, frankly.
Exactly.
But you did catch a whiff of the freak that lurks within.
Yeah, you did a good job of displaying her and keeping her at bay. Well done.
All right, I will stop rolling. I will email you this.
Wait, don't
file.
Stop rolling. Don't stop rolling.
We need you to shout out your stuff.
Did you stop yet?
Oh, shit. No, I'm still rolling.
Okay, still rolling. Yeah, shout out yourself, your plug, your social media website. Anything coming up.
I'm Julia Bainbridge. I'm Julia Bainbridge everywhere on Instagram, my website, on Twitter. Mm-hmm. And the book is called Good Drinks, alcohol-free recipes for when you're not drinking for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. And I'm about to go into my third printing a couple months after release. So,
speaking of good drinks, what kind of milk do you drink?
I like different milks for different reasons, but I'd say in my coffee daily, I either no milk or oat milk. But I love me some half and half as a treat here and there.
What if you were to have a glass of milk with your dinner, 50s and 60s style? What kind of milk would it be?
Whole.
That's my girl.
Good answer, Julia. Guys, buy the book. Go back and listen to old episodes of the podcast. Follow Julia's writing. Sign up to be her patient when she becomes a doctor.
It's not going to be cheap.
It's not going to be cheap. We're going to talk about that off mic, though. Thank you, Julia. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys.
All right, later.
Bye.
Bye.